I don't think anything's on. Now it is. Now it is. Gata of atonement, all evil karma ever committed by me since of old on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me since of old on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me since of old on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. Nikaya 3 Refuges. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. I take refuge in Sangha. The 5 remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. This precious human life, rarely encountered, is easily lost. Now that I have life and opportunity, may I practice the Dharma wholeheartedly. Mahayana Refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers, for the lineage of teachers before them. I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened. May their vows be completely realized, and may I cultivate these perfections with their guidance. 7 practices of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred, being close to some and distant from others. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness and the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from suffering and the causes of suffering. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. The reading today is the Loving Kindness Sutra on page 16 of the Spiral Bound book. Loving Kindness Sutra. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none. The great or the mighty, medium, short, or tall, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none, through anger or ill will, wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects her life, her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upward to the skies and downward to the depths, outward and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Please stand for the Heart Sutra on page 4 of the liturgy book. Great Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva practicing deep Prajna Paramita clearly saw that all 5 skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form, form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form, sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness. Also like this Shariputra, all things are essentially empty, not born, destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. Therefore in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought, no seeing, and so on. No thinking, no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, and so on, to no age and death, and also no ending of old age and death, no suffering, cause of suffering, cessation, path, wisdom, and no attainment, since there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva Prajna Paramita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear. Beyond elusive thinking, right here is nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future live by Prajna Paramita, attaining Anuttara Samsara Samyak Sambodhi. Therefore know that Prajna Paramita is the great sacred mantra, the great vivid mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra which completely removes suffering. This is truth, not mere formality. Therefore, forth the Prajna Paramita mantra, set forth this mantra and proclaim Gate Gate Para Gate Parsam Gate Bodhi Swaha Gate Gate Para Gate Parsam Gate Bodhi Swaha Gate Gate Para Gate Parsam Gate Bodhi Swaha. Enmei Juku Kanangyo Kanzeya Namu Butsuyo Butsu Enyo Butsu En Bobo So Enjo Raku Gajo Chonen Kanzeyan Bonen Kanzeyan Nen Jushinki Nen Furishin Kanzeyan Namu Butsuyo Butsu Enyo Butsu En Popo So Enjo Raku Gajo Chonen Kanzeyan Bonen Kanzeyan Nen Jushin Ki Nen Furishin Kanzeyan Namu Butsuyo Butsu Enyo Butsu En Bopo So Enjo Raku Gajo Chonen Kanzeyan Bonen Kanzeyan Nen Jushin Ki Nen Furishin. Absorbing world sounds awakens a Buddha. Right here this Buddha, the source of compassion. This Buddha receives only compassion. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, just compassion. Thus the pure heart always rejoices. The light recall this, in the dark recall this. Moment after moment the true heart arises. Time after time there is nothing but this absorbing world sounds awakens a Buddha. Right here this Buddha, the source of compassion. This Buddha receives only compassion. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, just compassion. Thus pure heart always rejoices. In the light recall this, in the dark recall this. Moment after moment the true heart arises. Time after time is nothing but this absorbing world sounds awakens a Buddha. Right here this Buddha, the source of compassion. This Buddha receives only compassion. Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, just compassion. Thus the pure heart always rejoices. In light recall this, in the dark recall this. Moment after moment the true heart arises. Time after time there is nothing but this. Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind. All that is and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We offer this sincere and devoted practice for the many beings of the 6 worlds and dedicate it in grateful thanks to the strength and sound practice of the great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be clear from all interferences, and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate these merits to Bernie, Rosa, Raul, Bob, Greg, Diana and her family, Laverne, Renzo, Julie Long. May they have peace and healing, as well as Lorelei, Janet Mendez at the time of their deaths. We also dedicate this liturgy to those whose names we hold in the silence of their hearts, as well as those whose names we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all honored ones, Bodhisattva, Mahasattvas, wisdom beyond wisdom, Mahaprajna Paramita. Please prepare for Zazen. Children and Dharma school teachers, you may go to Dharma school.
The sound of the clappers, the first and third rows will turn to their right. Second and fourth rows will turn to their left for walking meditation. We will start at a slow pace and increase the pace when we hear the clappers again. Next, we'll recite the Sangha Covenant on page 8 of the liturgy book. And if there are a couple Shoken or Jukai students who could fill in these 2 seats in the front row, we know that Shokai can hold down the whole zendo herself, but let's not make her do that. Just filling in the first 2 rows for liturgy, please. Okay. We, the Daishin Kokuji Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Please prepare for the talk. Please sit comfortably and facing the teachers. Gata on opening the sutra. The Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for being here today. I encourage you to sit comfortably and in a way that we can see each other. Yesterday was actually a pretty important day in the history of the community. Some may know that a great effort was rallied to, the quick version was move the teacher's stuff. And certainly there was a lot of that. But the significance of what happened is worth a bit more of a tale than just that. You see, in the same way that Our practice is facilitated and stabilized by the reality of this space that we share together, that we enjoy, that we're able to practice in and care for. This space enables our practice, right? Our practice certainly doesn't depend on a space. Believe me, if a meteor or lightning or something happened and this space was gone and we survived, you could practice actually just fine. But that being said, it's nice to have a space, right? And the history of the tradition always has some way of navigating this need for space. And there's a parallel requirement that is for the abbot, that there's a stable, central person, people that are able to make a vow of stability and to be reliably present, as reliable as the building's foundation. That's the plan, that's the hope. And so through the history of the tradition, having a space for that is actually of parallel importance. And for some many years, we have resided at the house, which now is the Sangha house, which I'm delighted about. That was never able to function as a proper abbacy per se. Well, it was because I resided there, but there's a function to the abbacy that is just as real in the tradition as the function of this space or the hang area or the bathrooms. There's a real function that happens, okay? And the abbacy's function is to give living space to the abbot and family, if there is one, but also there's a lot of ritual action that happens there. So next week it is our Ango opening ceremony begins, and for the first time, because the abbacy was actually established yesterday, we'll be able to do the proper opening rites, which have to do with, we gather, we do our liturgy, we'll set a context for the Ango together, we'll have a meal, and then for those who are able-bodied enough, there's a hike, modest, but a hike. And it starts here, and we go through the entire, led by the Shuso, the soon-to-be disciple, and it leads us through the temple cloister grounds, right? In our case, we've got amazing grounds, right? I mean, if you haven't seen them, you will, and please bring hiking boots. It's awesome, right? But the Shuso will lead us through to the culminating point. There'll be a ritual that happens there to commence the 90-day intensive, more or less, I forget how long it is, but the seasonal intensive. And then guess what? That winds its way to the abbacy. And there you are served tea by the abbot, by sensei, right? And that's where the dime drops. Now Ango has begun, right? And so we'll actually be able to do that. Isn't that sweet? Yeah, and to have a space that can host that admirably well. And there are other rites and rituals that use it. And they'll unfold as time goes on. So it delights myself and Doan Sensei to be able to have a space that can actually do its job, beyond just shelter for the family, but actually a space for that end of the Sangha ritual to actually occur. And at the same time that the abbacy was established, the Sangha house was simultaneously established. There's a bit of a project to be done there, but this will give this community the opportunity to say yes when someone says, you know, I would like to come and be in residence for a season, a year, a couple of years maybe, and really dive deep into Zen training in a residential way. Not necessarily a lifelong monastic commitment, but a temporary time of really sinking in, right? And having the ability to say yes to someone for whom that's an appropriate maneuver is an immense, it's been a heartache, actually, that we've not had a way to say yes to this. And that we finally will and do have a way to say yes to that is an immensely, actually, I feel a great deal of relief. Because that's been an option we haven't had, and in the history of transmission and how the Dharma actually flourishes, having that residential component for many is a necessary part. So like yesterday, we had this all kind of go down. What you would have seen if you were here, and you did if you were, boxes moving, our administrator and project coordinator really doing an amazing job coordinating everything, and I can't say enough, Kokai and your team. I mean, the skills, it's amazing. I have none of them. But that's what actually happened, is we empowered the embassy, and we had a solid begin to the Sangha house. So that's exciting. I wanted to speak a little bit, however, about this seeming paradox. Perhaps you caught this in the Loving Kindness Sutra. Going on and on about being a nice person and a skillful person and a compassionate person, we then get this perhaps troubling phrase: let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Did you hear that one? Right? Let me, let us not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Now this, be careful. This kind of thinking can be a gateway into great abuse, right? After all, who gets to say who's wise, right? And what is this reproving stuff? Is this some, well, you should have hopefully a bit of a cautionary flag pop up. We want to take it seriously. It's in the sutra, but we need to understand what this is, you see. Unfortunately, in our day and age, this taken to an unhealthy version of itself is the gateway to much abuse. In fact, there are some religious traditions that kind of wind themselves around the fact that you cannot trust yourself, right? Do not trust yourself. Your original nature is sinful or fallen or mistaken or what have you. The last thing you should do, by God, is trust yourself. What you need to do is trust the authority, right? Ooh, right? Be careful now. Be careful now, right? Danger lurks this way, right? It can be abused. It can be a gateway to authoritarianism, to some kind of solipsistic domination. It's just a gateway to great trouble. And we can see that there are many of our fellow Homo sapiens that quite crave giving up their power because it's scary to have to decide, right? It's in some ways, it seems, it's an easier path to just have it all told to you. Oh, here's what relationships are supposed to look like. Here's what sexuality looks like. Here's what being a good person looks like. Just do this stuff and you'll be fine. Obviously, that's not sufficient. That's not sufficient for any of us, I would hope. However, the Buddha does say over and over again, follow the wise ones. Do nothing that they would reprove. What does that mean then, if it's not this authoritarian mistake, this giving away of your power? Well, it turns out that if we know what it is to interrogate our own mind, then this becomes self-evident. The first step to a mature ethics, to a mature spiritual life, is to be willing to interrogate our own opinions, whatever they are. Be willing to look at the fact that you may have gotten this wrong, right? I think it's a great disease in the human mind to latch too quickly onto a certainty of this is it. How horrid if there were some fossilized text that all you needed to know was actually encased in and anything outside of it is unneeded. Did you know, I forget I think it was, the fellow's name was Omar, I could be quite wrong, but the Library of Alexandria, sir, what shall we do with it? The caliphate had taken over. And the quote was, that has been passed down, you know the Library of Alexandria, I hope, right? It's a big thing. All the knowledge and wisdom of the ancient world was collected there. And I believe it was Omar, but anyway, the caliphate person in charge famously, infamously said, any book there that agrees with the Quran is unneeded, therefore it can be burned. Any book there that disagrees with the Quran is wrong and should be burned, therefore burn it. This is cause for sorrow, great loss to humanity. You can track it when religious dogma starts eclipsing the search for truth and the fair critique of what we know. It does not go well. Fortunately, the Dharma, the Buddha Dharma, is filled with trust yourself and interrogate yourself. And you do this in community. You do not do this alone. Not that you have to conform, that's certainly not what I'm saying. But you do want to stress test what's happening with others worthy of listening to. Does it not make sense? Right? So we need to know how to, first of all, honor elders. But we also know how to become an elder worth honoring, right? Just because someone is older does not necessarily mean they're wise. Plenty of examples, okay? Just because someone is young doesn't mean they lack wisdom. Plenty of examples. But there is such a thing as a person who actually has a mature and ripened virtue and practice. And it's worth, dear one, running what's going on past them, right? And listening to your Sangha. The wisdom that comes from the Sangha should never be underestimated. Those of us who actually take on the practice of the Dharma, right, together, then being willing to become vulnerable and to listen and to acknowledge and to stress test, right? Does it make sense to everybody? So when I hear the Buddha say this, let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, I can feel the many times when I have been really wrong. And they are legion, okay? But also that I've been lucky enough, and I'll say it, wise enough to critique my thinking in light of folks whose views I respect. And even those whose views I disagree with vehemently. This morning, we began our Jakai process, right? Maybe quickly, those who were involved in the process, if you would just stand and be acknowledged so people can see how many folks this actually is. Okay. And quite a few online and a few who had to go to work. So it's a big class. And as those who've done the process before know, it's largely about listening to each other. And we interrogate this question, what does it mean to take refuge in the Buddha? And I encourage you, initiates, be willing to critique what it means. And even if you come to a very subtle and sophisticated understanding, take it as impermanent. Because I promise you, as your practice develops and your wisdom increases, so will your understanding of that precept and your understanding of how it manifests in the world and how you actually rock and roll with this, right? So the biggest part of the process for Jukai is actually sharing how you understand what it is and listening to how others understand what it is. But it's not just that, because it's also with Sensei and myself, they're listening and perhaps leaning one way or the next, or offering some guidance, or saying, yes, this is in alignment. Not that it's perfect or you've got it, wrap a bow on it and it'll be like that forever, but this is in the right direction, see? And I have benefited unspeakably by the charity of those who've had more experience than I, being willing to share their experience on my behalf, right? And of course, sometimes I'm too arrogant to listen, and so I suffer accordingly. But it turns out my suffering is quite persuasive. It's quite convincing, like, oh, that sucked. I guess I really don't want to do that again now, do I? Fortunately, these things become more and more self-evident, I've always hoped that the consequences of my negative actions would come quickly upon me. That's best. What you really don't want is to have the consequences of your negative actions fester unseen, right? And then like a decade later, just blow everything up. Really, ask Manjushri to help you see. Like, let it see it. Do not be afraid to interrogate your life in this way. I promise you, nothing but good can come from it. The fear that would tell you to simply look away or repress or bury it down is unworthy of you. You are noble. It is beneath you to hide in this way, and it is unneeded. The Buddha says very clearly in the Dhammapada, be quick to do good. Good here means anything that you can do that alleviates suffering for yourself or others. He counsels, be very quick to do good. If you are slow, then the mind delighting in mischief will catch you. When you know the right thing to do, because you feel it in yourself, it's in line with the wisdom of the tradition as best you can ascertain, don't linger around in what-if land. Just do it. You know what you need to do. Don't tarry. Time is moving excruciatingly forward, and it does not slow its pace as you get older. Be quick to do good. If you are slow, your mind, delighting in mischief, will catch you. And I swear to you, you can blink your eyes twice and see 10 years pass. Turning away from mischief, again and again turn away. Now, please do not hear this as a holier-than-thou, religious, oppressive, Puritan, whatever. It's not. It's like, stop hurting yourself. Stop hurting the world we live in together. And the question inevitably arises, how? What the hell does that mean? Like, for real, what does that mean? And this koan, this genjo koan of everyday life is yours alone. No one can realize that koan for you. You must realize it yourself, but you can. In connection with the lineage, in connection with the community, with a stable place and practice, you have everything you need. Your treasures are beyond the ability for anyone to count. And I'm not talking about something as mere as money. I'm talking about your life, your nobility, your dignity. So please take it up. Please take yourself seriously. Please be ferociously willing to interrogate all of your assumptions And be willing to enjoy it when you're right, and be willing to receive correction when you are not. Let us not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Be quick to do good. If you are slow, your mind, delighting in mischief, will catch you. May we be free. May it be so.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Come in. Yep. So Nala, you come this way. Yep. And then Adele. Hey, Quentin and Elliot, you guys swing out right here. Gently. There we go. Hi, thank you. So in Dharma school today, we're moving through the first 6 paramitas. And last week we talked about patience. Today we talked about generosity. And what they've done is they all made paper chains with acts of generosity that either they've done or that someone has done for them or what they want to do. And then we connected them all together. So we have a lovely chain of generosity, which we're going to save and have displayed somewhere nice and safe where people can see it. So thank you. Thank you. Y'all did a wonderful job today.
I vow to wake all the beings of the world. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. I vow to walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way. I vow to wake all the beings of the world. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. I vow to walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way. One more time. I vow to wake all the beings of the world. I vow to set endless heartache to rest. I vow to walk through every wisdom gate. I vow to live the great Buddha way.
Thank you all for being here today and for your practice. Are there any announcements this morning? While people are coming up for announcements, please remember that there is a meal following service, so when you hear the meal bell ring, it's time to eat. Any other announcements?
Hi, my name is Kensei. I have two announcements. The first one is if you were here yesterday or if you weren't and it looked like fun, but you enjoyed all our beautiful Samu, there's a group of people who do this regularly, the temple tenders. Get in touch with me if you're interested in participating in that effort. And the second thing is Sangha circles. This is the last time this Ango I'm shouting about Sangha circles. They close today. If you're not in a Sangha circle yet, you'll hear from your host next week by Wednesday. And if you haven't signed up, do it today, like right after service would be fantastic. Thank you.
So as Roshi mentioned, next Sunday is Ango opening, and we will have a new Shuso, Reverend Kaishin. So he will be making the enso, which we can all sign. Then we will have the Ango opening ceremony, and after that, the meal, and after that, the hike, and after that, tea at the Abbey. So please bring your walking shoes if you can go on the trail. It's pretty muddy out there. For those who have less mobility, there is a shortcut to the Abbey, and the rest we'll figure out. Also, April 16th, we are going to have our presentation on ethics policy, particularly pertinent for everyone doing Jukai this year. We're going to discuss how those precepts actually go into action when we're down in the mud. So please mark that on your calendar, 2 o'clock on the 16th. Thank you. Yes, it's open to everybody. In fact, every member of the Sangha should attend this. It's going to be an annual presentation. And we learn constantly, as you can imagine, so please do attend.
I'm Kyoan. I'm one of the Dharma School teachers. Just wanted to make an announcement that we have Dharma School next week, and stay tuned. We'll post the future dates so you can kind of plan ahead. All right. Oh, and just a plug for anybody who's interested in teaching or assisting. We definitely need a few more hands on deck just to help make our scheduling work out really well, because we always want to try to have a teacher and an assistant, and then an assistant to go with the younger ones. So hit me up, or Bujo, wherever Bujo is, if you're interested. Or Enmei, she's not here, but she's another good person. Thank you.
Excellent. Please restore the Zendo.